With Kroger brand products from Baker's, you can make all your favorite things this holiday season. Because Kroger brand's proven quality products come at exceptionally low prices. And with a money-back quality guarantee, every dish is sure to be a favorite.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Whether you shop delivery, pickup, or in-store, Kroger brand has all your favorite things. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Caregivers, are you and the person you care for not satisfied with your current home care agency? Then you need to call Help at Home, as we offer the highest paid wages, weekly pay, overtime pay, benefits, and do not forget paid time off. Help at Home is actively recruiting caregivers who are caring for a loved one. We make changing agencies quick and easy. Call one of our care professionals now at 412-784-6711. That's 412-784-6711, or go to helpathomepA.com.
Enjoy basketball, soccer, and all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using bonus code LIBERTY and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Plus, when you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. Download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and enter bonus code LIBERTY and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. Now you're winning with the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Pennsylvania only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER in partnership with Hollywood Casino Morgantown.
Hey, it's Christine from Storyworthy. Today on the show, comedian Jill Kimmel talks about going on a date after her divorce.
Today in Arizona, it's going to be like 109. It gets very hot. So hiking is no bueno anyway. So he goes, let's just go somewhere that's easy. It's not really like fully hiking. It's more like elevated walking, which I'm on board for. So it's the closest one to my house anyway. So I go, yeah, that's great. It's called Superstition Spring. So we're standing on that rock looking over. Oh, this is one of those romantic Lou moments. And he's like, yeah. And I go, I've been waiting, and your voice carries when you're up in the mountains. And someone from the trail goes, for a girl like you. And I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
Today on the show, Jill Kimmel tells a hilarious story about taking a hike on a date with a guy after her divorce. Stay tuned.
Hey, this is Jill Kimmel. You're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show or a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week with comedian James Veitch. Do you happen to know James Veitch, Joe?
I don't know him.
He's from England, but he's a young guy. He can't be more than 27 or 28. But anyway, he just does this comedy that is very unique and very clever. He basically scams scammers, and he talked about it on the show last week. Yeah, he talked about it. He has one of these TED Talks that has gotten over 50 million views.
What? I think I only have like 53 views.
I saw your TED Talk. I love your TED Talk, actually, Jill.
Thank you. That was very cathartic.
Yeah, you did a great job. But anyway, James Veitch, you guys, he tells a funny story last week. So go back and listen to that, but not today, because today I am here with comedian Jill Kimmel, and she brings forth the topic, waiting for a girl like you. And I'm not positive what this means, but I'm thinking of that song, I've been waiting for a girl like you. So that has to come into this, I think.
You think right.
Oh, good. I don't know. I mean, I guess I remember my second husband. One time my sister, we were friends, and we were at my sister's house. And I had my boyfriend with me, but then also my friend Matt, who I ended up marrying. And my sister said to Matt, what kind of girl are you looking for? Something like that. And Matt said, my sister said later, that he said, I'm looking for a girl like your sister.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. And we do have a child together. So it all worked out. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, in one way or the other.
it's just modern family. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, so I'm anxious to hear your story. Jill, where are you now? You're in Arizona?
Yes, I live in Gilbert. It's just it's like 15 minutes from Phoenix. So we've got a ton of comedy clubs here, like Tempe Improv, Stand Up Live, CB Live. So there's a lot going on, and we're reopening this weekend. So June 4th through the 6th, I'll actually be at Stand Up Live with Brad Williams. So
Okay.
yeah, we get to Arizona's a little more lenient than LA and stuff. So they're doing social distancing. I think they're only allowing a 25% seating capacity at the club, but at Stand Up Live, it seats over 600 people. So we'll probably still have about 150 people in the audience, and they'll spread them out really good. And the staff there is just amazing. They'll take care of us. We've each got our own microphones and all that kind of stuff. So they're keeping us safe.
Wow, that's a really good thing because it's like gonna, hopefully like set an example or set like, this is exciting. I had no idea that was happening this right now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good
Yes.
for you. And so just the
Mhm.
two comics on the whole bill?
It's me, Brad Williams, and then I think there's one other girl. I think she's hosting. And then also like the Tempe Improv is opening. They've got Chris Porter, and CB Live has Adam Ray. House of Comedy also. They have Nate Jackson. So yeah, and Stir Crazy is also open. And I don't know who their headliner is, but yeah, all the clubs in Arizona are reopening.
So, Jill, I know that you have done like over, I think it's 5 USO tours. How many tours?
Yeah, 5. They're actually AFE, which is very much the same as USO. It is a different company. So I'd like to give them credit. Yeah, Armed Forces Entertainment. They send us out, and I went on one with Rachel O'Brien, your former co-host.
Yeah.
That's where we met. And I've done 2 by myself, and then 3, not by myself, but that I was the main person, and then 3 with Johnny Cardinale, who's a comic in LA.
Yeah, I've worked with him and he's been on the show as well.
I think he's done 20 of them at this point. And I am dying to get back because those tours are, you get to do comedy, which is whatever, you're doing your job, but just to go and to be some of the places are pretty amazing. I've been to Italy and Germany, they're not hurting for things to do there. But when you're 20 miles south of the Syrian border in an undisclosed location, yeah, they're pretty excited about your show. So it's awesome. I made some great friends that I'm still friends with years later, just being on those tours. And they really give you a different perspective of what the deployed men and women go through being, just away from their families and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard so much about them, and I have done not a tour, but I visited like a Blue Angels thing in San Diego, and I know that a lot of it is just kind of like being with the men and women in uniform, and they give you a lot of tours, and they show you a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the tours are fun, and you get to we got to do when I was with Rachel when we were in Kosovo, we got to do some firefighting stuff, and they let you we couldn't do any of the weapons shooting. But we got to hold, but they're direct models of the guns and stuff. I don't like guns, but when I'm on a military base, I am a psycho, let's shoot some stuff. I hate guns. I don't like them in real life. I don't want to see one. I don't want to touch one unless there's a badge attached to it. It makes me super nervous. Are you trained with this? Because I just didn't grow up around them. But when I'm on a military base, we were in Turkey, and they had some of their weapons specialists. We got to shoot a 50 cal and a Glock. I was let's do this. It's amazing how the mentality changes when you're with someone who's super trained and you're just shooting at a target in the desert. So it's not a big deal, but it's fun.
So did you get your own flak jacket or?
They did not. There was one of the bases in, oh God, it was the Kosovo base that they let us try on the bomb suits, like the suit that they would wear to defuse a bomb. So I actually have pictures of it. Johnny and Nick Novicki helping me, and Rachel and Mark Saratella. That was the 5 of us they had me get into the bomb outfit, and I'll send them to you. I don't know if you put pictures up on these or people can look, or they can go on my site and look. Oh my God, it was just the best. And you're just like these outfits, I was like, I look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but like in camouflage color. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is interesting. They have to move in those, obviously.
Yeah, I guess moving, you don't really need a lot of dexterity. It's just a matter of if something explodes, you'll be protected from it. But it's kind of like the lead vest you wear at the dentist, but like 30 of them enveloping your entire body and a helmet.
I hate that lead vest more than anything in the world. That thing suffocates me. I'm always like, get it off. I'm done here.
I'm always like, I need this. I'm only here once. Like I'm getting one a year, once every other year if I don't have insurance, like how much harm could this thing do to me? But apparently a lot.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So listen, I've seen a lot of Johnny Cardinale's photos and stuff of all the places he's been, like you mentioned. And some of the places he's been, like you were saying, Italy, Germany. Those are very well traveled and pedestrian Western places. And those I could totally get on board. But the ones where you are going out into the desert, and I'm not an alcoholic, but if they would say like, there's no alcohol in this space and you're not going to have alcohol for 6 days, I'd be like, why would I put myself in that position?
Well, at Kosovo, it's a dry base. So that is an interesting, but most of them aren't. Most of them do allow some alcohol, but they usually give a limit. They'll say like the dry bases are dry bases. Nobody can have alcohol. But like the ones that I was at in Turkey or Egypt, they have like some limits sometimes where they'll go, you have like the bartender basically has like a checklist and you're allowed like 3 or 2 depending on the base, because if something goes down, they don't want their people drunk. That's just common sense. So it's kind of like being on call at work. You're like, I could drink tonight, but if they call me in for my shift at, Bed Bath & Beyond, do
Right.
I want to be wasted while I'm selling pillowcases? So they do usually, many of them are just open and whatever, and they just trust the people. But some of them that are more sensitive type, where there could be a situation more likely, like they will put a limit. But then sometimes they'll give you a treat. Like when we were there, during about halfway through the show, I think he was like the base commander. He told me that they were going to allow them to have like 4 drinks instead of 2. Oh, I was like, please let me be the one to tell them. And so when I was on stage, I was like, my set was going okay, not that great. But once I announced, just so you know, double the drinks tonight, I was the hero. I let them think that I had talked the guy into it. Whatever, it's fine.
I think that was a great idea. Good for you. Good for you. So my other question is, when you went overseas, how old were your kids?
Oh, I don't have any idea. No, I'm just kidding. My first tour was, I don't keep track of that kind of thing. My first tour was in, let's see, I think 8 years ago. What year is it? 2000. It was like 8 years ago was the first one I did. And so I've done 5 in that span of time. Yeah, 8 or 9 years ago. So my kids are 19 and 17 right now. So they were like, I don't know, I'm not good with math, but whatever, like they were like 8 and 10 roughly. And my parents, yeah, they're fine. They weren't babies. They were elementary school. So my parents live in town. They live just 15 minutes from me. So even though my husband at the time was no goddamn help, am I allowed to say goddamn? My parents just took them every time I would go on one of these tours. And the tours were either 10 days long was the shortest. And then the longest one was like 22 days. And that was the one I went on with Rachel. And Rachel was on that tour with me. Rachel actually was very instrumental in me actually finally filing for divorce, I will have you know.
She's really very bright. She has she's so very beautiful. And then people think like, well, how smart is she? And you know what? She's super, super smart. And so I believe that.
It's upsetting a little that she's beautiful, she's funny, and she's smart. It's like, why do you have all this stuff? But she does, which She must have done so. I said to my mom one time about my cousin, and I think this rings true with Rachel as well. She must have done something right in a former life. And my mom goes, no, I think she's doing something right in this life. And I was like, oh, okay. Point taken. So yeah, I mean, I had actually that whole 3 weeks, here I am on this tour bus, because some of the tours you fly everywhere. Like you'll fly to Germany or wherever to like start the tour, or wherever you're going to start. And then you kind of fly to each place. But like we flew to wherever we flew. And then our first stop was in Kosovo. So we had to fly there, do the show, and then like leave the next day and fly to wherever we were going. And then we got on a tour bus for the 3 weeks. So for like, I think it was like 18 or 19 days total, it was me and Johnny Cardinale, Nick Novicki, Mark Saratella, and Rachel O'Brien. And the 5 of us are on this tour bus. We had a driver and he drove us around. You're going through Germany, through England, through the Netherlands. We went through all these places, Belgium, and it was amazing because, you know, when you do the ones that you have a lot of flying, it's tough because you got to get up early. You got to get to the airport. There's a lot of packing. This, you just take your suitcase out of your hotel room, which is usually on base, which is great because then you get to spend more time with the actual people in the military, as opposed to like if you're staying at a hotel off. Stay on the base, you just grab your suitcase, you throw it in the bus. If you're tired from a night of drinking with the boys, which is usually what we were doing, you just sleep on the bus. And then, you know, you're driving 8 hours to the next town or whatever. And we had a lot of time to talk. And I had said to her, I love that this just became like a little tribute to Rachel, but whatever. I had said to her during the trip, one of the things that had come up was that I was so unhappy in my marriage, particularly for the last 3 years of it, that I had not even cleaned my house in 3 years. Like, I mean, I would do the dishes. I would do the laundry. It's not like I was living in a hoarder's nest. I just never, you know, usually like on a Saturday or whatever, you're like, all right, let's clean the house today. The toilet, you kind of do everything so it's sparkling. And then by the end of the next week, sure, there's some stuff. But like you kind of, I would do just enough so that I wasn't living like a hoarder. You know, there's the occasional vacuum or the dishes or just enough. But I was so depressed, is what I realize now. I just didn't, and I resented him. I did not want him living in a happy, clean house, because if I wasn't happy, you weren't going to be happy. Very unhealthy, I know. But when I was leaving Rachel, when she was getting off the bus, or at the end, we got off the buses and we were going to the airport, and she was actually going on to Paris for a few days with the guy she was dating at the time, and to visit her dad, I think. And she looked at me and she hugged me and she said, "Go clean your house." And I was like, oh, like that really hit me. And like in so many different ways, go clean your house, like literally and figuratively.
That is so beautiful. Okay, I have so many things I want to tell you. First of all, Go Clean Your House should be the name of your new podcast.
Oh my God, right. That's good. I've never had a podcast. I think I'd be terrible at it, but
Go Clean Your House with Jill Kimmel. And then the tagline is like, get your shit together. Life is short.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Honestly, that is so beautiful. No, it's very true. And it's a metaphor. When you know, obviously when you're depressed, it's hard to take a shower. Sometimes it's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to wash your hair, and it's certainly hard to clean your house. So I think that's not uncommon, but when you're in it, you can't see it. You know, you don't see
right.
it.
And I wasn't depressed like mental illness, like something serious that real people with real mental illness and real depression go through. It was more just a symptom of an unhappy marriage. Like everything else was great. You know, my family's awesome. My parents, my brothers, my cousins, everyone's great. Thank God everyone was healthy. My kids are fantastic. You know, it was just in the marriage. It was a depression directly related to that. It was nowhere else in my life, but just that. And I think it was just a spiteful thing. It was just like something that I did in retaliation to him for making me miserable. I was like, since you don't listen to me yell at you, you don't listen when I'm crying to you, you don't listen when I'm begging you, you don't listen when I'm just straight up talking like a normal person. The only thing I have control over right now, besides the kids, which I'm not going to involve them, is you get to live in a dirty house. And I know it sounds crazy, but
No. It's very mature. No, it's very mature that you acknowledge it now. And of course, it does involve the kids because they have eyes and ears. So at some point they see what's happening. But the point is that you overcame this and you've moved
right.
on. And I have had 2 divorces and whatever. But I guess what I was getting at in this whole thing was like your ability to leave your kids and go on these trips overseas. And I am only saying because number one, I'm super jealous and I want to do that. But of course,
How old's your kid?
well, my daughter is 13, and it's just that, she's getting older and it would be okay. And I actually have gone on a few trips without her for 2 weeks at a time, but I still think of those trips and I think I kind of regret them in a way because she was sad. And I think like, why did I stress her out? She was only 7. But then again, the trips were, I know. So, but anyway, the point is that now I think
There's sacrifice. She'll be fine, but I get how you felt for sure.
yeah, but for you, you also had your parents right there, et cetera. So my
Yes.
point is I'm a single mom, so it's a different setup. But
If I had left them home with their dad, they would have been miserable. But they were at my parents, so yes, they had a good time. But I agree. If I just had the choice to leave them here with their dad, who would have been like, "What? Don't you make your own lunch or whatever?"
yeah.
There's no way I could have gone with a clear conscience. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, I think I just hearing you talk about it, how much fun I have got to get on board. I want to do that. All right, you guys, we're going to get to Jill's story in just a second, but I wanted to remind you about the new show that I'm producing called The Story Worthy Hour of Power. It's every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Jill, you'll have to do it. I've done 2 shows so far. Yeah, this week will be the 3rd one. And basically it's me and 4 other storytellers / comedians in 1 hour of tight entertainment via Zoom. And you know what? It's damn good because everybody on the show is somebody who's been on Storyworthy before. And, I have a good eye. I got a good eye for this.
You got 2 good eyes from what I see. So it's nice.
So anyway, it's been a lot of fun, you guys. So if you go to storyworthypodcast.com, you'll see the information about this week's show or next week's show. I'm going to keep on doing it every Sunday. And you'll click on the link. It'll take you over to Eventbrite, which is actually a really good ticketing site. The point being is that it's easy and there's always a free option. You're welcome. A lot of people lined up for this summer as well. So again, you guys, storyworthypodcast.com. Thanks.
I love it.
Thanks.
I love it.
All right, you guys, she's here right now. Jill Kimmel. She's a comedian, obviously, and a voiceover artist and an animal rescue advocate. I love that.
Yeah.
And you're an actor and you love grilled cheese. I love grilled cheese as well.
It's so good. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, don't try to get fancy and give me wheat bread because that's some BS. But white bread, American cheese, and butter. Don't add no additives. My mother goes, "Oh, I like to make a fresh mozzarella with a slice of tomato." I'm like, "Okay, you just made pizza. Like, enough." No.
Wow, interesting, because I'm with your mom on that. And you know what? Also, I like to do it with jack cheese. Woo!
Come on. What are you talking about? You can't go wrong with grilled cheese. It is true. It's true.
You guys can find Jill over at our website, jillkimmel.com, and also on Twitter at It's Me, Jill Kimmel. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for Jill Kimmel.
So I was married for 19 years and I had gotten a divorce and it wasn't great, obviously, but it was definitely better for both of us. And we both realized that fairly quickly. So we were friendly. He lives a mile from me. We have children together. So it's definitely amicable, but there are times that he still gets a little butthurt over things, and not now necessarily 4 years later, but at the time we had been divorced for about a year. So I hadn't really dated. I mean, I had dated like one person very, very briefly. So it didn't really affect him. He, made a comment one time when he saw like my little overnight bag in my car, like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's right. And my legs are shaved too. Booyah." But we didn't really flaunt it. I didn't flaunt anything in front of him, just kind of whatever. But I did start dating someone that I met actually through another comedian. So I was going to do a show here in Phoenix with these 2 comics, Brant Tobler and Andrew Slater. Both awesome guys, love them dearly. And I've been friends with them both for a long time, pretty much since I started comedy. And Brant texted me and said, hey, we're going to be having lunch in your neighborhood. Do you want to meet with us? And I go, sure. So I had just mowed the lawn and I just threw on a hat and I went down there. And Andrew had brought a friend with him who lived in Phoenix. He was new to Phoenix. He only lived here for about 6 months. It was his best friend from when they were like 2 years old. They grew up one house apart from each other. Their parents still live one house apart from each other. And I just took a look at this guy and I was like, who is this? And why didn't you people tell me to wear makeup? I was like, there was just something about him. Just his eyes were sparkly. And I just thought I don't know. I got all giddy. And I remember calling my friend after that lunch, my friend Lou, and going, I met a guy today. Like I had been on Match.com for a couple months and I had met a couple people that were, they were mainly nice, but like no sparks at all really. And I just said, I met somebody today. So she's like, I'm coming out to your show tonight. I want to, because I knew the guy would be there. And sure enough, he was there and it was just really sweet and really kind of unfolding. So my friend Lou, who I'm talking about, she has been in radio for many years, probably 30 years, all over the country. She had her own syndicated show, this whole deal. Her name's Lou Valentino and she's a really good friend. And she was on air. Right now she's doing like radio sales, but at the time she was on air talent. So she would text me and be like, listen at 1:13 p.m., listen at whatever. And I would tune in and she would play foreigner songs for me. So she would either play, I've Been Waiting for a Girl Like You. And then what's the other one? I want to know what love is. That's the other one, right? So she would play those songs because she just thought it was like this love. So anytime I would talk to her about Jason, who was the guy, I would be like, oh, Jason. And she would send me a GIF or a little meme of Whoopi Goldberg saying, you in danger, girl. Like I was in danger of falling in love. Or she would play, I've been waiting, right? So we were dating we actually, me and this guy, Jason, we were just like for 2 weeks, we just kind of texted and we didn't even really text. Not like, hey, baby, nothing. It was like once every 4 days, I would be like, hey, my friends and I are going to go here to do this if you wanted to join. And he would be busy. And then this is actually kind of funny. Little circle back. He actually texted me one time saying, hey, I'm in Vegas for work right now. Do you know any good place around here to have grilled cheese? I know you love grilled cheese. So like kind of like a funny little throwback, but he ended up asking me out and we started dating. Now we went out one time and the next day he went to China for a month. So we just talked on the phone and texted for a month and he doesn't even have an iPhone. So you can imagine we had to WhatsApp. We couldn't even FaceTime. I mean, imagine my horror when the text started showing up green. But I was just like, we really, really got to know each other. So Lou would she just had a field day with that, this whole, I've been waiting thing. So I told him about it, like, oh, my friend Lou, she thinks I'm falling for you. So anytime I talk about you, she plays a foreigner song. And he thought that was funny. So he comes back from China. We're dating. And at this point, we're dating like, after China it's a total of like 6 weeks or so, but it's really just like 2 weeks because he's been gone for a month. So he's like, hey, you want to go hiking? And listen, I am old. This was 3 years ago.
Old.
Keep in mind, I am old. At the time, I was 46. So he's 14 years younger than me. So his version of hiking is a little different of your girl's version, which is like parking a little further away in the parking lot at TJ Maxx so that my car doesn't get scratched. His version is like rappelling down mountains. And I'm like, yeah, I love hiking, duh, because, I'm trying to impress him. Like, I don't want him to know that I'm a total slug and I'm so unathletic and I don't hike or camp or move really. I like marathons for me are like when they play a lot of Law and Orders in a row. Like that's a marathon to me. But this fool's out there doing triathlons and marathons and everything else. And I'm like, yeah, oh my God, I love hiking. Why wouldn't I want to go? So
wait, why does everybody's profile on a dating site say they like to hike? Why does it say that?
They all do. They all say that. I like to hike. I like long. Yeah. Yeah. No shit, Sherlock. You're going to say that. You're trying to, because when you say that, it makes a guy think your body's good and that you're active. And even if you're not in shape, it makes a guy like, oh, she's active. I could be in perfect shape, which I'm not, but I could be. And if I was like, I just really like to lay in bed, they'd be like, ew. Like they wouldn't like that. They want someone who's active and wants to get out. And you're like, no, you don't. You want someone to eat Cheetos with on the couch during Netflix. Please, here's a towel. Don't wipe your orange crust fingers on the couch. Anyway, venting much? So yes, so he did right. My boyfriend totally does that. So he wants to go hiking, and I'm like, of course, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was going to suggest it. So I talk like a valley girl when I'm lying. So we're gonna go hike, and there's a lot of places to hike in Arizona. Now, keep in mind, let's see, it was our first date was April 4th, so this is like the very end of May. This is probably right around now, like late May, very early June, 3 years ago. And so it's hot here. It's already like today in Arizona, it's going to be like 109. It gets very hot. So hiking is no bueno anyway, but there's a lot of places to go. There's a lot of different trails, a lot of different mountains, whatever. But, I was like, oh, I am kind of a beginner. So he goes, let's just go somewhere that's easy. It's not really like fully hiking. It's more like elevated walking, which I'm on board for. So it's the closest one to my house anyway. So I go, yeah, that's great. It's called Superstition Springs. So Superstition Mountain. So we go to that trail, right? And we go and we're walking and it's fine. It's a little warm, but I'm like, trying not to, I'm like patting my sweat. I'm like trying not to I am wearing makeup. And we get up this one area, you like climb up and there's these big rocks that you can kind of lean on. They're like just really big. So we're up and you can like kind of oversee because you're elevated. You can kind of see all the trails. There's several trails going up and going down. It's a nice vantage point. And that's as far as I wanted to go. I didn't want to hike up any further. This was about it for me. And so we're standing up on this rock thing, looking down. And, one of the things when we were having like this is a romantic moment, the Foreigner song would come up. I would joke, we hadn't said I love you yet, so it was like a way to be like flirty and like whatever. So we're standing on that rock looking over. And I go, oh, this is one of those romantic Lou moments. And he's like, yeah. And I go, I've been waiting, and your voice carries when you're up in the mountains. And someone from the trail goes, for a girl like you. And I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. And I look and I like laugh and I look and I go, oh my God, that's my ex-husband. Jason's like, what? And I'm like, that's my ex-husband. And now I'm thinking, okay, we're still so new. I don't want to freak him out. I don't want him thinking that I give a shit that it's my ex-husband because I don't care. I mean, we've been divorced for a year at this point. Like, I'm not upset that it's him. I'm just like, what? It would be like if you were like, oh my God, that's Kathy Griffin. Like, it was just like a sighting of someone you did not expect to see. And I was like, that is my ex-husband. So then I'm trying in my head, like to play it off like, oh, whatever. But also I'm like, no, this is weird. Like if it was my best friend, Jenny, I would be like, oh my God, that's my best friend, Jenny. Right. So it's how I'm feeling, but I'm also like, oh, it's my ex-husband. So I got to act like I don't care. There's like all these emotions. But right after he says it, he like pivots and walks away down the trail. And I'm like, what the freaking hell just happened? So Jason's kind of like, oh, cool story, bro, kind of, but like not knowing what to expect. And I'm like watching him walk away like, is that even him? Because the walk was like, but when you're walking downhill and you're kind of doing that, I'm on my tiptoes. So and it was kind of, but I'm like, he's 6'4" and 280. Like, and I was married to him for 19 years. I kind of know what he looks like. And I'm like, that is him. But I had to drop it because I didn't want Jason to think that I was like fixating on it. But in my head, I'm like, this is so weird. So I drop it with Jason, but in my head, the wheels are turning. We get to the car. It's like, whatever. We get home. Okay. So then, he drops me off. He goes about his day to do whatever he was doing. And I'm at my house. Well, a couple hours later, my ex calls. because we have kids. Now, this is 3 years ago. So at the time, my kids are like 14 and 16. And so he's a little more involved in seeing them, where now they're like both driving and one's in college. And they're like, you're lucky if you get 10 minutes of our time. So he calls and I was like, so that was weird today, huh? And he's like, what? I'm like, seeing you today? He's like, where did you see me today? And I'm like, this fool's going to try to act like it wasn't him. I go, hiking? He's like, yeah, right. You were hiking? I go, yeah, I know. That's why it's so weird. And Superstition Mountain is the place that he goes hiking when he goes hiking. And I was like, come on. And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, maybe it wasn't him. Then I start second guess. I'm like, oh my God, but this is what he did to me our entire marriage. He like would gaslight me where I would be like, maybe I'm crazy. And so I'm like, it was you. And he's like, okay, I wasn't hiking today. So then I'm thinking, well, shit, maybe it wasn't him. But that was so something he would do. I don't know, right? So I just kind of was like, I guess I'll never know. But then I'm thinking he probably didn't want me to know it was him, like, oh, with your new boyfriend kind of thing. But whatever. I mean, I'll never know, right? So the next day he comes over to get the kids and he's late. They've been sitting here. They were like, we're hungry. I'm like, I don't know. He said he'd be here at 4. It's like 5:30. He shows up. I open the door and I'm like, you're late. And he's like, I know, I got caught up, at work, whatever. And he walks away and I go, well, they've been waiting. And he goes, for a girl like you. And he starts laughing and he goes out to his truck. I'm like, you son of a bitch. It was you. I knew it was you. I just was.
I am so glad he has that sense of humor. That is so funny.
He does. Like he would go back and forth between being super butthurt at me about something and then just like making me laugh, which it makes me feel good because it's like, okay, I was married to you for a long time. So there were reasons I stayed with you for long enough, which is good. It reminds me like, okay, you weren't a total fool to stay in something horrible. There were definitely pockets of fun. And that was one of them. And I was like, you son of a bitch. And he's like, gotcha. I was like, and isn't that crazy?
You know what else is so great about that is your kids got to see kind of that moment and your kids will know like that's like a family story now. It's funny.
Yeah, they did. No, and meanwhile, my kids are like, yeah, okay, mom, whatever. Like, they don't care. They're just, I'm like, no, this was crazy, but it was funny. And I love that it was like, couldn't be a more perfect punchline. I'm like, I could tell this on stage all week long. And, I've been waiting for a girl like you. God damn it. Like, and happy ending to that story. My boyfriend and I are still together 3 years later. So, yes.
That's
yay.
so nice. Is your boyfriend from that area in Arizona?
He's not. He's actually from Seattle. And so he's from Seattle and he had lived in Long Beach for several years. And then he moved out here and started his company here. And he had like a water bottle company that he was doing for a while. And then he got rid of that when he was tired of dealing with the people who import water bottles. It was kind of a nightmare. And so now he works for an electric company and he does not the electric company, but an electric company. And he does like some marketing and stuff for them. So yeah, it's been pretty good. Like we live together and we have a dog who we rescued, who is very lazy. He's laying behind me right now. Did not intend on rescuing this dog, was going to foster him. And yes, I'm using air quotes. For a week, I was off work. I didn't have any out of town gigs scheduled. So I was like, you know what? Let me foster a dog. I love animal rescue. My boyfriend, Jason, he loves it also. We're big on the, rescued animals. And I thought I'm going to be in town for like a month. Let me see if there's a dog. I have plenty of friends who are involved that needs a home, that I can give him for a month or so. And I got this little guy, Sonny. He's a little white Havanese poodle mix. And I didn't think Jason would want to have him as an adopted dog because I knew Jason had like a lab and like I just always assumed he likes big dogs and he cannot lie. And so I got this dog just thinking he's super cute. He looks like a white version of my last 2 dogs. And, I'll be his mom. And a week in, I was like, I can't take him to this adoption event. Like, I just need another week. And Jason was like, why don't we just keep him? But we didn't even live together at this point. So I was like, but I mean, I know like you like big dogs. He's like, don't put that on me. He's like, this is a great dog. If you want to keep him, let's keep him. And I was like, okay. And so we adopted him, and we are 2 fools over this dog. We are ridiculous when it comes to Sunny, and he's the cutest. Right, Sunny?
That is a great story, Jill. Honestly, that is so sweet for several reasons. First of all, you are glowing. You are so obviously happy.
Well, it's also very hot in Arizona. No, I am very happy. I am.
Yeah.
It's a happy ending to a good story. And my ex is happy. He's just doing his thing, and the kids are happy. And it's like, my moral of my story is what I like for people to know. I will be 50 in November. I was married for 19 years, 23 years together. I met him when I was 21, and I wasn't very happy at all in the marriage. And it's not all his fault. And it's not like he was a terrible person. We really grew apart.
Yeah.
And it is never too late. I've lost over 100 pounds.
Wow.
I started a new career when I was 36. I started doing stand-up. And you know what? It is never too late for whatever it is going on in your life to change it and be happy. It doesn't matter what it is. If you've always hated your hair and you're like, I just want to shave it off. And I've always had people be like, keep it long, shave off your hair, start a new career, divorce a person who is no longer fulfilling the needs in your life, start dating someone 14 years younger if that's what makes you both happy, adopt a rescue dog, whatever, start a new career, lose 100 pounds, gain 100 pounds, whatever it is. But it really isn't too late to do whatever it is to like just be fulfilled. And it's like, yeah, no, my life is not perfect. No, yeah, you think my body looks like a melted candle after 109-pound weight loss? You are damn right about that, sister. There's things going on. I wish I could afford a tummy tuck. I am actively saving up for it now. But you know what? So many of the more important things in my life are better and good and handled, and like, it just is never too late to make a change for the better.
I totally agree. And change is often very difficult at first, but usually it works out. Like usually it's like, oh, that was a good thing, whether it be a divorce or a move or a change of job or a change of home. That's a big thing.
And
as
if
well.
it's not, change it back. And yeah, maybe you've lost someone along the way you can never get back that you shouldn't have let go of, but that's a lesson for you to take into your next relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's easier to have a lot of answers when you're not in the thick of it. Like right now, if I was in the middle of something crazy, I would be like crying and desperate and turning to all my friends for advice. And that's what your friends are for, right? To give you their life advice. And it's like, that's what Rachel helped me out with that first time, 3 weeks of her hearing my stories of 19 years of, a lot of unhappiness on my part, his part as well, but she was hearing my side. And just, go clean your house. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's your brand. Yeah. That's your whole new brand.
And while you're cleaning your house, crank that foreigner.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
I want to know what love is.
A few things. Here's the best news about all of this is really that you are showing your children a modern family, and you're showing your children what happiness is, and that your ex-husband can be included in that. It's just really nice because that's the way it should be.
A boyfriend could be like, listen, I've got to live in a house with 2 kids you made with someone else. I don't need to deal with that someone else. But Jason's not like that. He's and the 3 of us are all adult about it. And that is the key. If you've got one person in the equation who decides they want to be, a baby about things or just not a grown up, you don't even have to be like super fun and like we're all, spending an afternoon together, but just to tolerate each other enough respectfully so that the kids don't have to go, well, I can't have my parents in the same room. What's going to happen at my wedding someday? Just be an adult. It's not that hard.
But you wouldn't be with a guy who was an asshole like that.
No, I wouldn't.
I have to share something with you because my ex and I are also very good friends. We only live a block apart, and we were married for 12 years.
Great.
But here is a story that is one of our family stories that I knew, that we were always going to be kind of friends for life. This is years ago. This is like 20 years ago when I first met him. We were actually neighbors across the street here in Los Feliz. Anyway, Okay. So we were just friends at the time, and we were driving to play tennis, and we're in Griffith Park, and there was this flag at half mast, and Matt said, "Why is that flag at half mast?" And I go, "Oh, didn't you hear John Glenn? Because they had sent him back up into space. He was like an old man, but they had sent him into space. Remember that?"
Yeah.
All right. So I said, "John Glenn, yeah, he died. He died in space today." And Matt was like, "What?" And I go, yeah, man, he died in space. You didn't hear that? I can't believe that. Yeah, all the flags are at half mast. And he's like, turn it on the radio. And I go, no, because I don't get reception in the park. And anyway, we played tennis, and we left tennis, and we come back to my apartment, and I was having people over, right? And people were coming over. I think I made margaritas, and everybody's sitting around. And then we're all sitting around. Then all of a sudden, somebody says, Matt says to everybody, he goes, "Hey, man, can you believe what happened to John Glenn?" And then I start like backing out of the room. And then people are like, "What happened, Matt?" And he's like, "He died in space." And then he looks at me, and we started losing it laughing. He chased me all over the neighborhood, and we lost it.
That is great. I love it.
Playing tricks on each other is so funny. It's so great to have that kind of a level of unspoken stuff, unspoken fun.
And there is something to be said for having been with someone for so long that certain things no one else would understand.
Yes, of course. I agree. I totally agree. I heard you earlier mention Brant Tobler, who I also love.
I was on one of my second tour I was on with Brant.
I do too. And so you must know his mall story.
The Malfia. Hello.
He was on Storyworthy before, and he told the story about how he ripped off a mall, like a shopping mall, a store, for over $1 million. Like it was very serious.
Dillard's.
Dillard's was like Gimbel's.
Yeah, Dillard's is like Macy's. Gimbel. How old are you? So Dillard's is like Macy's, right? Or like Saks or any of the major department stores. But yes, Brant is one of my best friends. I love him. Like literally, there's like my dad and brothers, then like my male cousin, just one, because I don't feel that way about all of them. And then like Brant, like in the scheme of like non-romantic humans, he's just the greatest. Brant has a way of making you feel so important and so seen that you feel like you could take on anything. And like, he really has a way of just making you see yourself, and it's in such a good light. It's such a great quality. And if more people were like Brant Tobler, we would be set in this country. I'll tell you that.
That's so sweet. He really is a good person, and he comes from such an incredibly terrible background.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Father in jail and a drug addict mother. He just comes from the worst background you can imagine. And now, he's one of the top comedians in the country touring, and he's just a great guy. And Brant would talk about, by the way, that mall that he worked in at Dillard's, that shopping mall. Mm-hmm. It was the only escalator in the state of Wyoming.
He's so funny because I remember him talking about just walking around that mall and like, or the Dillards, and he was in charge of like the Ralph Lauren section. He's like, why would someone spend $85 on a polo shirt? These are like blue collar people. They will go to Walmart and spend $14 on the same shirt that just doesn't have, and they would like complain to him about like the sales were low. He's like, yeah, because nobody's buying Ralph Lauren. And that's when he felt like they deserved.
Yeah. Why were they in that town anyway? I mean, in Laramie, Wyoming,
right?
There's only 500 people. I don't know.
I know. It was, he was very good at I love his story. Part of the story, I don't know how much he told, but part of it was that, during Christmas time, like he would work at like a sporting goods store, and he would just like give away stuff to kids, like hats and jerseys, and to like single moms, they'd come in like, why does my children have all this stuff? He goes, it's fine. And they're like, no, you're stealing. He's like, all right, I guess.
He was working at an athletic store, like it was the Foot Locker.
Yeah, just for feed or something. Yeah.
He was just giving away all the merchandise just because he wanted to.
Yeah, because he's like Santa Claus. He literally is like Robin Hood. He really is. Let me tell you a little story about Brant. We were on our tour. So the first tour I did, my friend Brian Ritchie had set up and took me with him. And it was me and Brian, Chad Miller, Freddie Lockhart, and Greg Freiler. So a little mix of comedians from LA and from Phoenix. And then my second tour, I got to set up. So it was me and Brant and Greg Freiler. It was supposed to be Dave Williamson, but he had some other thing that he didn't want to cancel when they, like, the dates they wanted us. So that would have been awesome if Dave could have come. And Nick Guerra, fantastic comic. So this was a tour of the four of us, like, amazing times. And we were in the airport in Turkey. I think it was in Istanbul. And we're in the airport and we're waiting for our flight. And this little girl was like maybe 4 years old. And she was a little bit restless. And her mom was sitting there, and her mom was definitely, I think she was definitely Turkish, because she, she seemed like she was a local, and she had like the head covering. So she was very modest, and she was just kind of sitting there, very quiet. And her child was, just wanted to be a kid, and play. And Brant, here we are in the middle of the airport in Turkey, and Brant takes a ball out of his backpack. Why Brant had a ball in his backpack as part of the things he packed to go to Turkey with is beyond me. But he pulled a ball out of his backpack and started playing catch with this little kid of another nationality, another country, foreign descent, does not speak his language, probably barely spoke her own language because she was only 4 years old. And he just was playing catch with this kid in the airport. And I thought, that is a great human being. And he just, that is him all around. And he is just something else.
That's really sweet, man. Yeah. That is really, really sweet. Okay, one more thing. We got to wrap it up. I did listen to your TED Talk, and I really, really liked it. Your TED Talk being about coming from a family where your brother is famous, as it were.
Right.
I played tennis. One of my best friends, and I play tennis a couple of days a week with Matt Oswald, and he is in that same situation with his brother.
Patton's brother, and Patton is good friends with my brothers. I've never actually met him, but that seems like a great family too.
Yeah, but anyway, it's the same situation where people are just sometimes like they don't understand that that's a different person than you. Right. Like it's like their success has absolutely nothing to do with you. I mean, you might get a better Christmas present, but it's just not even, like, in other words, I have 4 sisters and a brother, so I come from a big family. And I have never, ever thought about, some of my sisters, I know how big their houses are and stuff, but, like, I've never thought, like, well, why don't you share some of that money with me?
I know. Listen, Jimmy is the most generous person in the world. And we have a little brother also, Jonathan. And he's also very, like, the both of them would drop anything to do anything or give me anything that I needed. Like, I have no question about that. It's not a matter of they wouldn't. It's like, I would never, I've had people actually say to me, Jimmy Kimmel's your brother. Why do you work? Like, before I started doing comedy. And I was like, well, he's my brother. He's not my husband. Like, why does your brother just give you money? Well, if he was that rich, would he? And would you feel comfortable taking it? Like, you are right about the Christmas gifts. They are stellar. But also, like, that's weird. And as comedy, like, yeah, sure. If he was a headliner, let's say he was a stand-up comedian, which he is not. If he was, like a Dave Attell or a Jeff Ross on the road headlining, could he take me as his middle act? Absolutely. He's not, though. He's a talk show host, and I am not famous and don't have anything to promote in that way. So what is he going to? Yes, there have been things he's recommended before or has, like, helped me edit different things. Like, if I wrote something, he would give me input or whatever. But, like, yeah, I've got comedy is very much, especially stand-up, all you.
Nobody can help you.
Right. I mean, there might be a collaboration on a joke where someone goes, here's a good tag. But otherwise, like, it doesn't work like that. But yeah, people are weird and frequently dumb.
Yeah. And it's like saying, for Matt, it's like, he's not a comedian.
Yeah. He's got a lot of followers on Twitter and he's very clever on Twitter. But, like, why are you not working with your brother? Why has he never had you on his show? And then you start second guessing yourself. Like, I don't know. Why hasn't he? Like, if someone's friends with me and then for some reason we have a disagreement, like political or whatever, and they want to go, yeah, even your own brother doesn't think you're funny enough to have on his show. And then you're like, why you got to hurt me so deep? Why you got to go so low?
By the way, I was on your brother's show.
Oh, and I know really? Everybody's been on his show except me.
Actually, you know what? It was like 15 years ago. I never met Jimmy, though. I never met him because it was a sketch. And it was
I've done a sketch. Okay.
It was a sketch with Fred Willard.
Oh, how wonderful. Oh, that's so great.
And he played my husband, and he kissed me. That was part of the thing.
Yeah.
And at the end of shooting, he gave me an autograph to give to my father, because my father was also a huge Fred Willard fan. And he did the autograph. He wrote, "Hi, Jack." He went after her like she was made of ham.
Oh, wow. Classic.
He quoted Best in Show.
Went
That was
classic
really
with that. Oh, wow. Oh, I love that story. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cracked me up. Listen, I'm so happy I finally met you.
Me too. Yeah. Paul Lander hooked us up. He seems to be great. It's so funny when I first became Facebook friends with him, and he would message me like, "I was friends with your Uncle Frank," or "My dad was," and I'd be like, "Okay, like I don't know you." And then over the years, I'm like, "Oh no, he's super legit. Like he has introduced me to people, and he's a great guy, and he's funny, and he's very talented." So thank you, Paul Lander, for introducing. No thanks to Rachel O'Brien, who never introduced us, by the way.
Go clean your house.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul Lander came to my solo show. He's coming to my game show. Like, he's the real deal, too.
He is a very supportive human being. I love it. It's so great. We surround ourselves with good people, and that's why we're glowing.
Seriously, that's it. That's it. Hey, listen, Jill Kimmel, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it.
It was great. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
All right, you guys, listen, I got to wrap it up, but I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Remember to go over and find Jill Kimmel at her website, jillkimmel.com, and there you'll find all of her links. And you've got some great stuff on YouTube, not only the TED Talk, but you've got some great stand-up clips that are looking really good up there, Jill, really, just so you know.
Not to mention also some crummy ones that clubs put up that were not a great set that you're like, "Can you take that down?" And they go, "Sure." And then they never do. Whatever.
Yeah, at some point, if you're at any level of a public figure, I know at any level, you got to let it all go, man. Because it's
exactly. It's like, yes, I do have friends who'll text me, "I want to post this memory of us, but you were still fat then." I'm like, "I'll kill you." And so they don't post it, but you can only control so much.
All right, you guys, listen, don't forget about the Storyworthy Hour of Power. I'd love you to come on and tell a story there as well, Jill. You'll love it. It's super fun. I only have the best storytellers on. It's one tight hour of live entertainment in your living room every Sunday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time. More details, you guys, again, at storyworthypodcast.com. All right, you guys, on behalf of Jill Kimmel, one more time, thank you so much, friend. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. That was great. Thanks.
My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
Cedar Point's Frontier Festival is back and brimming with new flavor. From May 26th through June 19th, this Old West-inspired street fest will fill Cedar Point with live bands, nightly hoedowns, and a hubbub of family activities. Yup, you'll find wheelbarrows packed with sunflowers and characters straight out of the frontier, but you'll also discover 25 cherry-inspired dishes and over 65 cocktails, seltzers, and beers. Get all the fixins, plus savings to boot with a Frontier Festival bundle, which includes admission, parking, and a tasting card. Only at cedarpoint.com.
This week on RVER, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm sorry, I can't operate on that vehicle.
But doctor, you took an oath.
That RV, it's my son's RV.
Oh, doctor, isn't there anything you can
I'm not a miracle worker, Sheila. I'm an RV surgeon, trained to save the lives of large injured recreational vehicles, which is definitely a real profession.
When your RV really needs saving, Progressive has you covered. See if you could save with a leader in RV insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms.
With Kroger brand products from Baker's, you can make all your favorite things this holiday season. Because Kroger brand's proven quality products come at exceptionally low prices. And with a money-back quality guarantee, every dish is sure to be a favorite.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Whether you shop delivery, pickup, or in-store, Kroger brand has all your favorite things. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
There's a little bit of magic in photographs. With a click of a button, we can capture a moment in time and keep it forever. At Rockbrook Camera, let their creative team help you transform these precious memories into unique holiday gifts to last a lifetime. Most people know Rockbrook Camera for their large selection of camera gear and expert photo advice, but they're also the area's best high-quality photo lab. Choose from a variety of gifts to personalize, such as their popular photo ornaments, high-quality canvas wraps, and photo mugs. With so many gift options ready to be personalized, it's easy to share a story, a moment, or a memory that's made to delight friends, family, or even yourself. Send joy through the mailbox with Rockbrook Camera's thoughtfully designed photo greeting cards, ready to pick up in 48 hours or less. Start creating today with help from Rockbrook Camera's friendly staff in-store or online in the convenience of your home. Visit Rockbrook Camera today, 1 block south of 168th and West Center in Omaha, 70th and Pioneers in Lincoln, or online at rockbrookcamera.com.